disagree with a bunch of stuff. I said, I don't really have an answer to this. But you have been completely forthright in saying that college basketball has got, there's the college regular season's become less relevant. You will tackle their issues. What do you do about this one-and-done thing, which isn't helping college basketball whatsoever? What do we do to solve it?
There's nothing we can do to solve the problem of players leaving for the NBA and declaring for the NBA. In fact, all the things we have are narratives that probably don't make any sense. This isn't traditionally the way things have gone in the past of, players not staying in college for longer periods. That's the way it used to be. They stayed. We refer to it as a problem. And I'm thinking, well, what's the problem? If a kid wants to be a professional, what's the problem with that? The NBA's taken them. If the NBA has a rule that says, they can only go in at age 19 after a year out of high school, that's not college's issue. Some college people, including the NCAA president, have used the term, well, that rule forces kids to go to college. It doesn't force a kid to go to college. It's kind of a ridiculous narrative. The problem that the NCAA has is sort of leaving for the NBA doesn't fit their narrative of college players and education and all that. And folks say, well, you don't even have to go to school. Well, schools aren't making their players or their regular students go to class. I mean, that's their issue. They can determine that whether a player, student, whatever, has done their homework and has passed their tests and all that stuff. They're in that business every single day. They don't put that requirement on any other student. There's no other student that's required to stay in school, or if they leave to go do something else, that's seen as a major problem. They're there to educate people, and what we should do is educate the students while they're on campus. And if they choose to leave, great. We should encourage them to come back. But we can do a lot of things. The NCAA can do a lot of things to incentivize players to stay.
Like
and
what?
They don't do it because it doesn't go with our money narrative that players need to be amateurs, which is ridiculous.
So that's one of your things, that you're kind of a believer. If we gave the kids a little pizza money here, they wouldn't all be, jettisoning the college sport and going to the NBA.
No. The same number of players would still go to the NBA, like the big shots. All the best players would probably still go, like Austin Rivers or Anthony Davis. Those guys would go. But some of the marginal players that are leaving to go to the NBA, and maybe they're questionable decisions from a basketball standpoint. There's just no reason for college basketball or college sports in general to force players to be amateurs. You don't get anything out of being an amateur. It's not like you're a better person or your education is enhanced or you're a better teammate. We've got professional baseball players that are playing college football, and nobody raises an issue about it. Professional baseball players play college football, and nobody says a word because it's legal. And so it's not an issue of money. It's not an issue of separating from your teammates or anything like that. It's an issue of the NCAA wants to keep all the money. And you'll hear, well, amateurism is a bedrock principle. Well, I never hear anybody defend amateurism. They just say, well, we can't pay the players because A, we don't have enough money, only 14, whatever their narrative is, only 12 programs, make a profit. Well, it's funny how they can all pay themselves first. And then they say at the end, well, there's no money left over for the players, sorry. But they're all paying themselves. And, the president of the NCAA makes $2 million. Nick Saban makes $5 million. All the Final Four coaches make millions. They've got these giant athletic departments. They build these huge, unbelievable facilities. And they're building all those things to attract talent. But if they just go ahead and allow them to, there's no restriction on any other student making money. There's only restrictions on athletes making money. And it doesn't make any sense.
Jay Bilas joining us. What do you think about some people have suggested, okay, if players, no, first of all, let me just ask you this. What about not having to go to college at all? What if we just allowed LeBron to go right to the NBA? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, whatever the NBA wants, that's fine. I mean, I would encourage any person. I think college is a great thing. I would encourage any person to go to college and pursue an education, and don't just limit it to 4 years of undergraduate education. I got a graduate degree. I think it's a great thing for everybody. But people have choices in America. So if they want to make a choice to do something else, that's fine. If they want to go to college for a period of time, we don't have like a gate up keeping students from leaving school. They get to leave all the time. John Glenn walked on the moon and didn't finish his undergraduate education. So what? We have a whole bunch of people that have done that. Tom Hanks was one and done at Cal State Sacramento. Bad guy. They turned his back on education. That narrative is stupid. We should encourage every kid to go to college and not have this idea that the NCAA seems to have, and maybe this is unfair, but this is the way I perceive it. That like, hey, if you don't want to do this, if you don't want to be on campus, and if you're not a student first who happens to play sports, then we don't want you. And I don't think that's a good message to send, because I wasn't, I like to think of myself as I'm, a fairly smart guy. I wasn't a student first. I didn't look at myself that way. I was an athlete. I went to school and did my homework and all that stuff. And just like when I walk down the street now, Colin, I don't go, I'm a husband and father first and a broadcaster second. I don't, who has to look at things that way? And I don't think that narrative does any good for anybody. Encourage the players to go to school and get their education while they're pursuing their dream to play in the NBA or play in the NFL or whatever it is. There's nothing wrong with having a dream like that.
The only thing I disagree with, I don't think Tom Hanks was ready for Hollywood. He could have used one more year.
Hey, Tom Hanks was one and done, and nobody said he was. Nobody told him you shouldn't be in school, son. This is you're making a mockery of education, which is what they say about some of the players who want to leave. They're making a mockery of education. How are they doing that? By going to school and making you millions of dollars? It's absurd.